Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Sherman, it's my understanding that the Department of Defense allows unpatched software to remain on the network for 120 days before being removed. When our adversaries are increasingly looking to attack us from the cyber domain, can you highlight what the department's doing to reduce this time frame and make sure our systems are not vulnerable? And then part two of that, do you have the authorities necessary to require the services and components to act?
Thank you, sir. I believe we do absolutely have the authorities we need on this, and this gets into the broader cybersecurity push we have, looking at things like our risk management framework, the standards we have about how long software can remain on our network, and indeed one of my absolute main priorities is we move to a zero trust architecture, getting after things like unpatched software, but also an overall holistic approach to how we structure our networks and making it assume that the bad guys are going to get on there, and how do we segment things, ensure it's patched as quickly as possible, and have the very best tools and approach on this. So, sir, this is something, 120 days is probably too long. We would need to take a look at that, but this gets to the broader push I've also got the CISO working on to how can we do this better to ensure as we look at peer competitors and non-state actors that know they're coming at this, that is not what we want to be able to maintain there, sir. So we will be looking at that.
Very good. In your testimony, you state that not all priorities can be satisfied in each budget. That's pretty much the standard for all the different departments that come before us. But can you highlight what's not being satisfied in the president's budget, and what risks are there associated with those unfunded priorities?
Well, sir, I would say the main priorities are all being answered in the president's budget. We do have some risk areas that bother me, though, as CIO, and these have been enduring, and I think my predecessors would have said the same thing. You mentioned about the software patching. That's something immediately on our networks. Working with our colleagues in acquisition sustainment, I really want to put our shoulder into weapon systems and critical infrastructure, recognizing that our adversaries are going to be coming after those too, and moving just beyond the Department of Defense Information Network under my charge, but looking again at weapon systems and elsewhere where we can work with General Nakasonia's team at Cybercom, work with ANS, and those are some risk areas that, because some of these programs were started in the 90s when cybersecurity was in a different place, we have a better way to come at this. That's the type of area, sir, where I think we're carrying some risk that I want to do a better job of working with our colleagues in the department.
Okay, one final question for this round. Recent cyber attacks, such as those on the Colonial Pipeline and a water treatment facility back in my home state of Florida, have highlighted that critical infrastructure and utilities are becoming more integrated with traditional IT networks and therefore can be more exposed to cyber risks. How could the DoD's mission be impacted by such attacks on critical infrastructure and utility operations technology? And what are the department's plans to ensure an adequate level of protection to those assets that's commensurate with the risk?
Yes, sir. That gets exactly to what I was mentioning with the chairman's question on this as well. ICE industrial control systems, operational technology, and we'll get the terminology all right on this, but exactly what you're talking about, a cyber attack not necessarily launched on our networks, but against our water supply, our heating and cooling on a data center somewhere that could be the same as a kinetic kill on something, but they would, and shutting the water off for cooling. Any number of things that affect our operations on our installations. What I didn't appreciate until I got into this job was there could be seams we need to address. And so again, this is one of our priorities, is I'm having our team do a close look at what policies we have in place. Is it directive enough? Is it suggestive and we need to roll in harder on this? What I don't want to have happen is any seams between the outfielders, so to speak, between facilities, cybersecurity, and elsewhere where our adversaries could find a gap and get after us and hurt our facilities in the NCR or one of our installations or overseas or our warfighting ability. So this is a priority, sir, and it is in progress as we're looking at this. And again, as recently as this week, we've been working on this.
Great. Thank you, Mr.
Yes.
Sherman. I yield back.